Hello everyone, we are back on tiermaker.com. I remember a while back I ranked all Call of Duty guns. Of course, that was before Vanguard was even announced. So now that we have Vanguard, we're back on here. We are going to be ranking every gun in the game. Every weapon, actually, not just guns. As you can see, there is a whole bunch of guns in this game. Oh my god. When you actually see them laid out like this, it is insane. Wow. So we've got a couple categories here. We've got top meta, competitive, viable, below average, niche, and garbage. And I'm going to be ranking every single gun in the game, starting with Modern Warfare, going on to Black Ops, and then Vanguard. Of course, I'm probably going to have a couple that are mismatched, but, that's just what it is sometimes. Looking like the first gun is the Magnum, which would be the Black Ops revolver. Personally, I think this is the worst out of all the revolvers. The Top Break and the 357 are both better than the Magnum. I'm going to put it in niche because there was a time where running dual Magnums was pretty good. The Diamatti. Now, the Diamatti sometimes gets a bad rap. Most people would probably put it in the below average category. But, it's like, I personally like the Diamatti. I'm going to put it in viable. You run a Diamatti, it's burst, kills in like 2 bursts. It's really good. We've got the Modern Warfare 1911. Probably the worst out of all the 1911s. I have never seen anyone run this. I'm going to put it in garbage because no one ever uses it. We have the Renetti. The Renetti is one of my favorite pistols. It's the only one I have gold on. And it does have the option of running burst fire, but it's not as good as the Diamatti, so I'm going to have to put it just below that and below average. We've got the 357. The 357, in my opinion, is the second best revolver. The snake shot rounds are pretty good for a while until it did get nerfed a bit, but it's definitely better than the Magnum. I'm going to have to put it in below average. Above the Magnum, but not on the level of the Diamatti. Alright, we've got X16. X16 is one of my favorite MW pistols. It's definitely pretty good, especially when you can get it maxed out, but of course it's a pistol, so I'm going to put it in below average. 50 GS, it hits hard, really good in, it's really good in hardcore, but we're talking Warzone, niche, and M19 is going to go with the X16. The Riot Shield, I might have to add another category here. Hold on. I'm going to have to add another category here. And this new row is going to be called meme. Hey. What the hell? Yeah, meme. For sure. Because the Riot Shield is a meme gun. Like, you use the Riot Shield, you're memeing. L3W Tundra. Now, this sniper, for a while, was being considered to be better than the car and everything. It's pretty good. I'm going to put it in viable. It's viable to run. We have a pretty open meta right now. It's viable to run, but it's not, like, top-tier sniping. Alright, next we got the knife. Knife is definitely a meme. The Pellington I'd say the Pellington is the same as the Tundra. It's viable. It's not a top-tier sniper, anything like that. We've got the M82. M82 is definitely a niche gun. You're not going to see many people running it. Some people are very into it, but yeah. We've got HDR. The HDR is, I really love the HDR, but I'm sad to say, but like the SPR and the car are just above it. So I don't know if I can put it in competitive. I'd really like to. I'm going to put it in viable, but it's better than the Tundra and the Pellington. And the AX50 is going to go right there with it. AX50 is pretty good. The Dragunov is going to go in below average. It's good in multiplayer sometimes because of its high rate of fire, but in Warzone, you're not going to be seeing anyone use it. The Rytec AMR is the same thing. Cool concept with the different types of ammo and stuff, but it's just not up there with the other guns. The SPR, I'm going to put in competitive. One of the best snipers out there. Of course, it is a marksman rifle, but, it's one of the best out there. And I'm going to put the car right along with it. The crossbow is definitely a meme gun. I'm going to say the Mk2 Carbine is definitely a niche. In multiplayer, it can be pretty good, but definitely not in Warzone. We've got the Sigma 2. Now, the RPGs are going to be hard because, obviously, a lot of damage, but not much skill. So I'm going to put it in the niche category because you will see some people running it, but just not many people. We've got the EBR-14. It's basically a souped-up M1 Garand, but it does less damage than the M1 Garand, I believe. I'm going to put it in below average. SKS is going to go right along with it. They're basically the same gun. The SKS is a little better, though. We've got the AUG. Now, the AUG, I would have loved to put the AUG up here. Whoa. I would have loved to put the AUG up in here, right? Because, where did it even go, actually? Oh, I'll get to it later. I'll go with the M16, right? I would have loved to put the M16 up here. I loved the burst meta so much. Most people were complaining about it, but they got a severe recoil. I haven't used it at all this season, so I'm going to have to put it in below average, but it might be in the viable category if you want to test that out. You've got the DMR, which is basically, again, a souped-up M1 Garand. I'm going to put this in below average with the other ones. Type 63 is going to go right along with them. The M60. Now, the M60, when it first came out, was pretty good for, destroying vehicles. But you're not going to see that many people running it, especially now that it's not floated anymore. You're going to see very few people using it. So, I'm going to have to put the M60 up in the... I'm going to say niche. The Stoner and the RPD are both better than the M60, so I'm going to have to put them up in the below average category. You've got the Holger 26, the weirdest LMG of all of them. I'm going to have to put it along with the M60, but it's definitely better than the M60. It's just the 30-round mag is so weird on it, RPG. I'm going to have to put the RPG with the Sigma 2. Because it's just you won't see that many people running it, but of course it does do a lot of damage. We've got the SA-87. SA-87's interesting. It's pretty good in multiplayer from what I understand, but in Warzone, not so much. I'm going to put it in below average here. MG34, very good gun. Definitely, it was good for a while. I saw a lot of people running it with the MP5. But I'm going to have to put it in niche. You don't see very many people running it anymore. Fin LMG is just above that. Highly customizable, but just not up there with some of the other guns. We've got the PKM. That's going to be with the Fin LMG. Same as the M91 and the Bruin. They're all going to be... Actually, I'm going to put the Bruin in viable. I know the Bruin is pretty good. I haven't used it at all this season, so... Now, here come the shotguns. The shotguns are going to be difficult because as much as I hate to say, I hate it when people use shotguns, but you do have to give them credit for the damage. So, I'm going to put all of the shotguns in niche. All of these 3 shotguns, the Gallo, Street Sweeper, and Howler. Of course, the Street Sweeper is probably still broken. It's not a gun I recommend anyone using because it's incredibly toxic. The VLK Rogue is going to go just above them. Extremely good in multiplayer. M79, that's a meme gun. 725 is going to go with the other shotguns in the niche category. The Origin 12 is going to go with the VLK Rogue, and so is the R90. The Model 680 can stay with the niche, and so can the Jack 12. Now we've got some SMGs here. AK-74U, it was never up there as a top tier gun. And I haven't used it this season, so I'm going to put it in below average. Might be up there in the viable, but we'll see. We've got the Milano. The Milano was good for a long time, but I haven't been seeing anyone running it recently, so I'm going to put it in below average. Same as the LC-10. The KSP-45 was never up there with the other guns. Definitely a niche gun. The Mk2 used to be so good. The Mk2's up next, alright? So the Mk2 used to be up here in top meta, or at least competitive. But nowadays, you don't see very many people running it. I'm going to throw it in viable because I did get killed by someone using it yesterday. But Strela P, that's a meme gun. No one uses the Strela P. It's not even going to go with the other RPGs. Cold War Mp5 is going to go in viable. I know it's pretty good. I remember when it was like meta. So that's definitely going to go there. Bullfrog, I'm going to put in viable too. I saw someone using it yesterday. The Fennec is going to go in below average just because of its mag size. Same with the ISO. The MP7 is going to go in below average. The MW AUG is same as the Striker 45. The Uzi is going to go in viable, and so is the P90. Because I know those two are still pretty good. The MW MP5 is going to go in viable as well. Pila is going to go in meme. The Bison's going to go in below average. Krig 6. The Krig used to be really good, but then they severely nerfed its damage, so I'm going to put it in niche. Because you won't see very many people running it anymore. Anyway, the Pharah. The Pharah's going to go in below average. It was very good for a long time, but it isn't there anymore. Same with the XM4. The XM4 as well. The FFAR. Now, the FFAR is interesting. It used to be extremely good. And then they nerfed it. Then it came back. And I have been seeing some people run it. So just for that, I'm going to put it up in viable. I loved the FFAR. QBZ is definitely going to go in below average. I saw some people back a couple seasons ago saying it was going to be the next FFAR, but it never quite got there. Same with the Groza. The AK-74 from Black Ops used to be extremely good. Now, I'm not sure if this is the Black Ops one. This is definitely the Black Ops one right here, because that's the MW one. I'm going to put it in viable, because it used to be extremely good, and I'm sure I don't think it's been nerfed recently. The Scar's going to go in niche. If you can hit all your shots, the Scar's pretty good, but it has a maximum mag size of 30, and that just isn't going to cut it. The Ram 7, that's definitely going to go in. It's the top of viable right now. Ram 7's extremely good. I would put it in competitive. I just haven't seen very many people running it, so I'm not quite sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it in competitive because I'm pretty sure it's a very good gun. The Joker, that's going to be a meme. The M4 is going to go right up with the Ram 7. I was using it yesterday. Fries. Absolutely fries. I recommend. FR556, that's going to go into niche. There was a time where the FR556 would be run with the Deputy Underbarrel, but those days are long gone and it is no longer good. And you will not see very many people running it, so it's definitely going to go in the niche category. The Odin. Now, the Odin used to be like a 4-tap a couple seasons ago, and I personally ran it. I don't know, because I haven't used it this season, so just to be safe, I'm going to put it in below average. The M13, that's definitely going to go up into viable. I know for a fact you can still use it. Same with the Kilo. The Gra is going to go up with the M4 and the Ram. Definitely is good this season. Personally have used it. Medium range, it'll probably beat out a Bren. MWAK, that's a below average gun. Good in hardcore multiplayer, but not so much in Warzone. The AN94 is going to go with it too. The AN94 is interesting. You don't see very many people running it, but I know for a fact it's okay, so I'm going to put it there. The AMAX is going to go in viable because it used to be like the best AR in the game. I'm not sure how it's doing recently, but I'm just going to put it in viable, you know? FAL, that's going to be a niche gun. Pretty good in hardcore, but not so much in Warzone. RPG-7, that's a niche gun. AS-VAL, AS-VAL is viable in solos and duos, but as soon as you get to trios, it's below average. So I'm just going to leave it in viable. ZRG 20mm, it's right there with the other snipers that I was talking about. When it first came out, it was very good, but it's not on the level as like the SPR, HDR, Tundra, Car, stuff like that. Alright, Black Ops 1911, in my opinion, the second best 1911. Way better than the MW 1911, but not as good as the Vanguard 1911. For that, I'm going to put it in niche, just above the MW 1911. The M1928. Now, the M1928 it's the Thompson. I see a lot of people who really like it. Personally, I feel like all it needs is a damage buff and it could become very good, but it's just not there. The fire rate's extremely good, but every time I use it, I end up getting cracked. So I'm going to put it in below average. We got the Owen Gun. The Owen Gun is definitely above the M1928, so I'm going to put it in viable. It's viable. If the MP40 ever gets nerfed, it's definitely one of the SMGs that's going to take its place. We got the Type 100. I have personally not used it, and I haven't really heard anything from it, so I'm going to put it in below average just because of that. The PPSH-41. Trash if you use it like a normal SMG, but the hipfire build definitely brings it up to a viable if you use the hipfire build, but it's extremely specific, so. Einhorn revolving, that's a niche gun. A revolving shotgun. I'm sure it does a lot of damage, but it's just not something I would recommend using. Same with the combat. The Gracie Auto is going in garbage because that's what it is. And the double barrel is going to go in below average because it's better than the other ones. MG42, definitely a pretty good gun. Not as good as the DP27. It was there for a while. I'm going to put it in viable, and I'm going to put the DP27 in competitive. That might be a hot take, but I think the DP27 has the ability to get up there. It just needs a slight little buff. STG-44, pretty good. That's going to go in competitive. Same, the Type 11's going to go in below average. Haven't really used it. The floor loot ones aren't very good, so. The Bren's definitely going to go up in competitive. I have a feeling that it's going to be nerfed. It's not quite meta, but it's extremely good. M1 Garand, so the M1 Garand's pretty good floor loot, but it's not a gun I recommend running, and for that, it's going to go in below average. Same with the SVT-40, and the G43, and the Type 99, same with the Mosin Nagant, or the 3-line rifle. The Vanguard car, I want to put in viable, because I've heard some good things about it. Combat Shield is going to be a meme. The Rat is a pretty good gun, so it's going to go in below average, but it's not up there with some of the other ones. Automaton was extremely good for a while, and I hear it's coming back, so I'm going to put it in viable. The Top Break, which in my opinion is the best revolver in the game, definitely above the other two, so I'm going to have to put it above the 357, viable, I guess. Same, the Vanguard 1911, way better than the other two. I'm going to put it in below average, because it's above these two. The Klauser, pretty good. Good floor loot, but not against an SMG, so below average. Same with the machine pistol. The machine pistol has a lot of recoil. And that's saying something for a pistol, but it pulls up and to the right to the point where you can't see the target anymore. It's weird. M1 Bazooka, that's going to be niche. Same with the Panzer Schreck. The Panzer Faust is a meme because it's a one-shot. The Mk2 launcher is going to go there too. Fighting knife. The Itra Burst is going to be below average. The bar is going to be viable because it's pretty good. AS-44 is going to be below average. I hear a lot of people say they like it. Personally, I don't. I only ever like it when I get it in the gulag. NZ-41, that's going to be viable. Every time I use it, I end up killing someone on floor loot. But I've never actually had a custom class, so it's going to go in viable. The Volksstimmgewehr, that's going to go in competitive. It's pretty good. People don't give it enough credit. MP40, obviously, this is like the best gun in the game. That's going to go in meta. And the Sten, the Sten's going to go in viable. Every time I use the Sten, I just feel like it's missing that little bit of damage to be a top tier gun. I feel like if they give it the slightest damage buff, it'll become extremely good. Cooper Carbine, I loved the Cooper Carbine the first season, but recently it hasn't been hitting as hard, so instead of competitive, it's going to go into viable. And the Gorenko anti-tank rifle is going to go in below average. I personally don't like it. It's way better than the Dragunov, but it's not up there with some of the other snipers. And I believe that's the last gun. Thank you all for watching. This is my take on what's the best guns in Warzone right now, from meta to meme. Please check out our sponsor at fatalgrips.com or the link in the description. And I hope you all have a nice day.